Hey guys, welcome into another episode of the Fat Guy Podcast. I'm the Fat Guy. Most people call me Brett Mason. Thanks for listening today. We usually talk about the ketogenic diet, weight loss, health, things like that, low carb, high fat. Fingers crossed for the next 21 days, I will be documenting a 21-day fast. Now that's the goal. Just to be clear, I'm perfectly fine to fall short of the goal. If I need to. Now, if I just quit because mentally I'm weak or something, I won't be happy with that. But if I have serious dizziness, fatigue, if I get something like trembling or, if I have some kind of side effects, I absolutely don't mind missing the 21 days. But the goal is 21 days. That'll take me up to December 21st. I'm going to Biloxi on the 23rd, so I'll get a day in between to slowly ramp my eating back up, and then I can pig out in Biloxi. So that's the plan. So a couple things to note. First of all, the best, easiest, and my most recommended way to listen to this podcast so that you never miss an episode is to download the Spreaker app. It's Speaker with an R stuck in there, Spreaker. So the Spreaker app will not only let you hear my podcast, because that's the platform that I host my podcast on. There's thousands of other podcasts, whether you're into fitness, health, weight loss, politics, sports, it doesn't matter. You'll find a podcast on there for you pretty much no matter what your interests are. So there's more than just my podcast on the Spreaker app. The beautiful thing is you can follow me, make my podcast a favorite, and it'll just show up automatically. You'll get notified when a new episode comes out. And it just makes it really convenient to listen from your iPhone, your Android phone, or iPad, or whatever. So you can download that in your respective app stores for whatever device you have. Secondly, subscribe. Fat Guy Podcast is my username on all the social medias. So whether that be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or Snapchat, follow me at Fat Guy Podcast and take advantage of that. So it is day one of my fast. I've just wrapped up 24 hours. I wrapped that up about 30 minutes ago or so. And I have a battery of markers that I keep and track every day anyway. So I'm not really changing anything that I'm tracking. Still tracking the same thing I track every day, but I'll share those with you. So at the 24-hour mark, I'm going to try to test every day at 24 hours. Now, some days, for whatever reason, I may miss it. I may be at the 20-hour mark, or I may go to 28 hours. I may miss it a few hours either way, but I'm going to shoot for trying to hit it every 24 hours. So we're 24 hours in. My weight is 287. That's a pound higher than my lowest weight, which was 286, and that was pre-Thanksgiving. So I gained about 5 pounds over Thanksgiving, and I've just lost back down to where I started before Thanksgiving. So I'd say, considering that it's just been a week since Thanksgiving, that's not too bad. The one thing I'll say about that is anytime you gain a lot of weight quickly, you're not gaining fat. So don't completely freak out about it. You can't gain 5 pounds of fat in 2 days. You just can't do it. It's going to be water weight is what it's going to be. You're going to be, anytime especially if you break your diet by eating carbs, which is what I did, your body has to start retaining a lot of water to suspend those carbs. We've talked about this before in other podcasts. But depending on what source, for every 1 gram of carbohydrate that you have stored in your muscle cells or cells in your body, primarily muscle, for every 1 gram of carbs that your body is storing, it needs about somewhere between 3.7 to 3.9 grams of water. So that's why when you eat carbs, water goes up, and that's just what happens. So really, you're just looking to get the carbs out and get the water retention back out. Most of the weight will go away. That doesn't mean that you didn't gain some fat, but you certainly don't gain 5 pounds of fat in a day or two. It just doesn't happen. So I see a lot of people confused about that. So my weight's 287. My blood glucose, 83, which, I've done a fast before, and starting around 2, 3, 4 days into the fast, my fasting blood sugar was down into the 70s, 76, 78, something like that. So I anticipate we'll hit that in the next couple of days or so. But anyway, 83 is a great fasting glucose. I'm happy with that. This testing blood glucose testing device that I use also tests your hematocrit and your hemoglobin. So I'll be sharing that before. Hematocrit is a percentage, so 43% is my hematocrit, which falls within normal range. I think for a man, normal range is 38 to 48, I think, something like that. My hemoglobin is 14.6, which is very good. I don't know what the normal range is, but I think when you donate blood, they want it to be higher than 10 or 9, something like that. So I guess 14.6 is good. My ketones are 0.7. Now, I anticipate my ketones going higher. Ketones is when your body doesn't have carbohydrate. It starts converting fat that you've stored and breaking it down, and through this process cranks out blood ketones, beta-hydroxybutyrate, acetone, acetate, or something like that. I don't know all three of them. I know beta-hydroxybutyrate is the main one, I think. So I anticipate to see this number go higher. The longer I'm without carbohydrates, the higher my ketone levels will go. Now, when your ketones start getting on up there, over 1, you really start having a sense of clarity. You can have a burst of energy. You can become really focused. There's a lot of great benefits that come along with it, the absence of hunger. So my last fast was 5 days, and on day 5, my ketones were 3.8, and I felt amazing that day. I just felt amazing. I can't even tell you. So I really look forward to that same period of time, day 4, day 5, something. I hope that feeling comes back. So ketones is something we'll be watching. My blood pressure was 121/80. That's a little high for me. I actually took it again after that, and I think I came up with 115/70. I just went ahead and put my first reading in. Granted, when you're dealing with these, I have a nice at-home version, but it's still an at-home version. It's not like there's a qualified nurse taking my blood pressure. I used to do 3 readings and take an average, but my blood pressure is always great, so it's not something I stress about. But I am interested to see if the stress of fasting alters it, so definitely going to look at that. But we can range my blood pressure out today. I got 121/80, and then I got 115/72 or something. So it's somewhere in that range. It's healthy. And my resting heart rate is 47 today. I have a low resting heart rate, and this goes all the way back to when I began eating healthier and losing weight, way back in I won't say 2013, because I didn't ever check my resting heart rate then, but starting in 2014 when I went vegan, raw vegan to begin with, and then I went mostly raw vegan, and then I just went whole food, plant-based vegan, which included cooking food. My resting heart rate continued to decline from up in the 70s to the 60s to the 50s to it'll hover around low 40s or upper 40s, low 50s now. They say your resting heart rate is one of the greatest indicators of health. Knowing that I'm still as large as I am, I kind of find that hard to believe, but I do have a low resting heart rate, and it's normal for me. So we'll see how that goes. I'll tell you one of the main reasons to check your resting heart rate is to allow you to know if you're becoming dehydrated. Because when you're fasting, you can easily become dehydrated because most people don't drink enough fluids anyway. But you do compensate for that by what you eat, because a lot of the food you eat, depending on how you eat, a lot of the food you eat have water in them. So you're getting some water without drinking it. When you stop eating food, the only hydration you're getting is from stuff you actually drink. And I don't know if this is hard for some people, but it's hard for me because the longer I go without food, the less I have a taste for water. And I'm debating once a day having a water enhancer, but I really want this to be a water fast because supposedly water doesn't trigger an insulin response, and even a small amount of a water enhancer. I use the generic Publix brand, but I think Mio, M-I-O, is the famous name brand everybody knows. But they're sweetened with sucralose, and supposedly anything like that triggers insulin. And why fast if you're going to trigger insulin? Now, granted, it should go right. It should not trigger it a lot, and it should go down pretty quickly because your body's like, oh, that's not sugar, okay. But, still, I just don't want to trigger it. I want to avoid that. Nevertheless, I am debating doing that. And I think maybe after I'm 7 days in, we'll see. But really, the inside of my mouth when I fast gets this, it's not a metallic taste, but it's just a very stripped down taste. And so water, it tastes horrible. And I love water. I love drinking water. I am a water drinker. But I've got water right now, and it does not taste good. And my mouth doesn't taste good without water. My mouth just doesn't feel right. So anyways, back to the point. Your resting heart rate is a great indicator if you're dehydrated or not. It was something I never knew, but, went through my mom's illness with her fighting cancer, and she would suffer from dehydration because she couldn't eat anything, and many days she couldn't drink anything. And it doesn't take many days of that when you're already in a weakened state to become dehydrated. So we learned to gauge if she was dehydrated or not by her resting heart rate, and that let us know, hey, we need to go check in with a doctor because you're probably gonna need fluids. Thankfully, the last several months of her life, she actually had fluids at home we gave her, so we didn't have to go to the emergency room or to the doctor all the time. That's more than you wanted to know, I'm sure. But so there's a reason to test all this stuff. I am interested to see what happens to my hematocrit and my hemoglobin as I go, the longer I go without food. And, of course, tracking that fasting, blood glucose, and the ketones I'm interested in. Pretty much all these things I'm interested in for different reasons. So that's the day 1 24-hour update. I plan on doing one of these every day. I'll recap with why I'm doing it. There's a lot of great things that happen when you do an extended fast. Autophagy is one of them. Autophagy is when healthy cells in your body start feeding off of damaged cells. It's kind of a recycling process. So you can have cells with some DNA damage or, that are abnormal in some kind of a way, and your body will start eating those cells and destroying them. And so many people say that this is the process that actually keeps people from getting cancer. And when it breaks down, that determines that you're going to get cancer. Now, that hasn't been proven, but it's a great hypothesis, and they're working on the research to prove it. But it makes sense logically. So autophagy is a good thing. And autophagy starts happening, pretty quickly into a fast, second, third day or something. So autophagy is one of the things, obviously. Then, of course, weight loss. I'm continuing to lose weight. And as much as I love the ketogenic diet, and it's been very effective for me, I'm wanting to mix in other things besides intermittent fasting, which I already do, which is fasting. I usually fast about 20 hours a day, 22 hours a day, and eat within a 2 or 4 hour window every day. So I'm getting a lot of intermittent fasting in, but an extended fast, you're just taking it further. And the research has shown that, you will gain some of the weight back, but provided you eat right, once you start back eating, you pretty much maintain a good percentage of that weight loss. So it's a way to boost up the weight loss. And the other thing is because I want to celebrate Christmas, and I don't want to completely pig out, but I would like to enjoy a Christmas dessert or something and, eat and indulge on Christmas Day. And so this is like paying it forward. I'm paying in advance. So I don't know how much I'll lose. I anticipate I could lose anywhere between a half a pound to a pound a day. So if I make it 21 days, theoretically, I could lose anywhere between 10 and 20 pounds. And that would be great heading into a Christmas holiday where I plan on indulging like I did Thanksgiving. I indulged Thanksgiving. I took the hit, and we got right back to work and got it off. And I think this is the way to live. Now, the test comes when you're in these months where there aren't big holidays. What do you do? And I've always thought that once a month you should take a holiday. And I have somewhat done this since I began my weight loss journey. Some people say every 2 weeks. Some people say every 3. I'm a big fan of Penn Jillette from Penn & Teller. He lost an enormous amount of weight, and I actually bought his book and read it. And, that's what he does. I think every 3 weeks, he just has a night where he just eats what he wants, or a day. He eats what he wants that day. And it keeps him on track. And if you think about it, 3 weeks is 21 days. You're really eating really well 20 days, and you're only slipping up on 1 day. That ratio has got to be in your favor. It can't mess up your long-term success. And I think it helps keep you sane. So we'll see what happens after the holidays. I mean, I'm interesting because I have Thanksgiving, then I have Christmas, and then my birthday immediately follows. And so if you add to all of these things the other aspect of the holidays for me, which is this is the first holiday without my mom. She was my last remaining immediate family member. So I still have family, of course. I have aunts, uncles, cousins, and I love them dearly. But my immediate family, I don't have children, I don't have sisters, don't have brothers, don't have mother, father, or grandparents. So this is my first year without anybody. At least I had my mom last year. And also this time last year is when my mom first started being in extreme pain. I remember very clearly the day before Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving Day. As a matter of fact, Thanksgiving Day last year, I was at my mom's house and I had cereal. That's what I ate that day. Because she didn't feel like eating, and I just, I didn't feel like eating around her, and she was just miserable, and I felt so bad for her. So it's just a traumatic time of year for me. So I think I'm going to try to glean some positives from it. So fasting is leading all up to that. So that answers the question, or I hope it answers the question, why fasting? So a reminder, download the Spreaker app, Spreaker. It's like speaker, but it's got an R jammed in there after the P. The Spreaker app is free. Search for Fat Guy Podcast. Add it as a favorite. Follow us. If you sign up for an account, it'll allow you to chat with me real time when I'm live doing a show. You can send me messages right through the app. You can get notified when there's new episodes. So it's the easiest way to follow the podcast. And follow us on social media. That's another way to send me messages. Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat are my preferred forms of communication. Twitter, I just don't like Twitter, but I use it, but I don't like it that much. But add me on all of them. It's Fat Guy Podcast. No matter which one you add me on, Fat Guy Podcast is what you're looking for. That's the username. So in case you don't know what that means, Facebook.com/Fat Guy Podcast will get you there. Or if you just search for Fat Guy Podcast, you should be able to find it. I appreciate you listening today. We'll be back with a day 2 of my 21-day fast check-in tomorrow.